How's it going, YouTube? You are listening live to YouTube's Best Damn Racing Podcast. I'm talking about Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. I am Kane Jr. 88, and as always, I'm joined by these two taffy apples, Thermite 917 and Pro Bowl 43. And this weekend, we were at the so-called Action Track, Richmond Raceway, for the Toyota Owners 400 and the Xfinity Series Toyota Care 250. And almost as if this weekend was scripted, both races were won by Toyotas. And here at the recap is the biggest Toyota fan you'll ever meet, Thermite.
I don't really know how to respond to that, but thank you, Kane. Let's start from the top. Joey Logano won both stages, unfortunately, but surprising because this is the first time he's really done anything special since the last time he won here, and you know that was encumbered. It was kind of weird. Stage 1 and 2 both had a similar sneaky strategy. Stage 1, Stenhouse was about to go a lap down, so he pitted and got fresh tires, and man, that was a huge deal because he just drove back around and got his lap back the old-fashioned way. Stage 2, McMurray did the exact same thing. Stage 3 got underway and went through 2 rounds of green flag pit stops. The first caution for an incident did not happen until lap 355. That was when Ricky Stenhouse, again on fresher tires than everyone, got into turn 3 too hard and got into Ryan Blaney and the 72. All 3 of those went around. Stenhouse did a weird little slide and avoided major damage. Keselowski barely threaded the needle and got through there. And that started a cautions breed cautions kind of deal. After that, Ryan Newman got into the back of Jamie McMurray after Kurt Busch put Jamie into the wall, and Jamie was unhappy with Kyle Larson after that. That caution is also the one where Kyle got the lead on pit stops. He didn't lead any of that race until then. There were a couple more cautions. David Reagan cut a tire in turn 3, and then Ricky Stenhouse, again, he made quite a show, and that's Ricky's thing. When a race is going green, you know either him or Bain will get the job done. Unfortunately, Kyle Busch took off on the green-white checkered and got his 3rd win in a row this season, his 5th at Richmond, and that was his 46th career win. Chase Elliott finished 2nd. That was his 8th career second-place finish. Denny Hamlin came home 3rd, then Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, and Daniel Suarez. Overall, there were 16 lead changes among 7 drivers, and there were 6 cautions for 46 laps. So, Tyler, what would you give for a rating?
We give it a 6.5 out of 10. It was a pretty solid race. Lots of comers and goers. It wasn't like an interesting race from the perspective of crashes, cautions, and attrition like we have seen in the previous 2 weeks, but there was still enough there to make it a show. It was a really solid race. However, for the 2nd week in a row, it leaves with me drinking a Mike's because Kyle Busch won again. You know, to put it from the analogy I used during the Bristol podcast, this week was more like going to an Applebee's. It's a little bit of a step down from a 5-star restaurant. But, you know, Applebee's is still classy. Eating good in the neighborhood. We're going there for half-price appetizers. I like the buffalo boneless wings. You know what? I feel like I'm going to order a 2nd round. The 1st round wasn't quite buffalo-y enough, and I asked for a little bit more sauce. The waiter made sure of that. However, the asshole sitting in front of me is getting up to leave just as the waiter's coming back with my 2nd round of wings. He sticks his foot out, the waiter doesn't see it, and the fucking wings are coming plummeting towards my face. Now I look like a big overgrown baby with buffalo all over my bib.
You bib!
My bib! That's what this is. I still ended up getting some more wings anyways, and it was on the house. But that doesn't make up for the fact that Kyle Busch still won. Again, 3 in a row. Oh my goodness. For what it's worth, this win was more like a team victory. They just managed to be better, and the race played into their hands. Everybody else just decided, like, oh, we're not going to be good enough on the short run. Oh, we're not going to be good enough on pit road. Oh, well, we're not going to get a good enough restart. That was basically what it played down to. I mean, good. Congratulations, but I really don't give a shit. 6.5 out of 10. Take it away, Kane. What's your rating?
I'm going to give it just a half step better. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It was a very solid race, but a lot of stuff happened, especially towards the end of the race with all the cautions coming out, and then, of course, a little dust-up between the 2 Ganassi teammates. But otherwise, yeah, Kyle Busch wins again. And then, yeah, I know he was on Dale Jr.'s podcast this week, so I gained a little bit of respect for the guy. But still, Kyle Busch won. It's never fun when he wins, especially when he wins 3 in a row. So that drives the rating down a little bit for me, but still a very solid race. So, yep.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 as well. To quote a tweet from NASCAR Chasm, he said it was like a family reunion where everyone was getting along nicely, but right at the end, they all got pissed and started throwing mashed potatoes at each other. That basically sums it up. I mean, that goes along with Tyler's analogy, which was great once again. But, like, the race was straightforward until it wasn't. It was nice, clean racing for Richmond, not much going on, and then everything just went to hell and got crazy and ultimately gave Kyle Busch the win. Like Tyler said, there were comers and goers, and unfortunately Kyle was the one somehow charging to the front right when it mattered the most. So, son of a bitch, but it was a solid race. I thought it might be a little worse just because Richmond has had some iffy races, but it pulled through generally.
Yeah, to keep it like expanding on that and like thinking about it a little bit more, if that race stays green, you lose a little bit of the contact and attrition that happened late with those cautions, but at the same time, the race had been interesting up to that point with all the comers and goers. Like if that run plays out, some of the guys that were really good on long runs, like Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer, they could have been there. That race would have never been Kyle's, and I truly don't believe it would have been Truex's either, even though they were getting better as the race goes on. That run was going to be longer than the run that they had previously completed. So, guys were having to kind of stretch their tires a little bit further, and it just could have been a really interesting race on old tires. Unfortunately, that's just not what we got. We got 2 short runs split in half, 2 brand new set of tires, and the guys that were good on short runs prevailed. So I think what we got, honestly, was worse than what it could have been.
Perhaps. I mean, you never know.
We will never know.
Yeah, got a good point right there.
We may never know, but as the classic saying, yeah, you got to move on. Life goes on.
Correct.
It is correct. Thank you, Nick. All right, now it's time to hand out awards for the Richmond race weekend, and leading off with the classic, one of our favorites, the boner of the week. Kane, tell us who the boner was.
This week's boner is the 78 team, who absolutely botched the very last pit stop of the race after fighting all night long for the win, running inside the top 5, top 10. Well, on this final pit stop, they came in as the race leader, and then I don't know what happened, but they came out in 9th. And if that's not bad enough, after that, Truex's car started overheating. They had to come back into pit road under the next caution for Stenhouse slapping the wall there. And they ended up finishing 14th after a race-high 120-something laps. Oh, man. I mean, these are the defending series champions here. They're not supposed to be making mistakes, but they did tonight. They have yet to win a short track race at all. And tonight was just another night of futility for them at a short track. So moving on to our next award.
Yeah, and that is super dick, but also kind of slick. And that goes to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. As we mentioned before, he was on fresh tires and kind of stepped on himself and ran over Ryan Blaney, and then Blaney bounced into the 7-2, and all 3 of them spun. But he also made a great save to not make matters worse. So he was like 2/3 stupid, 3/3 great save. That's banking a 5th third better. Next award.
The next award is Debut from Hell. There's a little bit of a spin on our classic Day from Hell, and it really was for Daniel Hemrick, making his Monster Energy Cup Series debut, driving the number 8 Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. Not a good night for him at all. Started 22nd and went backwards. I mean, immediately. I remember looking at the leaderboard a couple laps in, and like he was already back down into the 30s. Like, I really don't know if he passed a car. It was a poor showing. I mean, the other RCR cars, they're not like they're prizes, but at least they ran in like the top 15. Even Newman got stage points in the second stage. Just terrible. He finished 32nd, 3 laps down. He would have been about 5 laps down had it not been for the couple late cautions. So it was a bad debut and a race to forget for Daniel Hemrick. Sorry about your shit, man. Next award.
All right, our next award is another classic. It's the Straight Jacket Award. And to nobody's surprise, this week's straitjacket goes to Fox Sports. Why? Because, again, just like they did at Texas 6 times tonight, they had to show Samantha Bush on top of Kyle's pit box 6 different times late in the race. I mean, as Pro Bowl tweeted out, what has she done to deserve all of this attention other than marrying Kyle? I mean, seriously, Fox, you must be freaking crazy. If you think Samantha Bush is that important than the action going on the track, I mean, I don't know what's worse, showing her or the Fox NFL guys having a camera on Jerry Jones all the time when the Cowboys are playing. Jesus! I mean, seriously, an individual person is more important than the action taking place on the track?
And the team themselves?
Yeah!
Like, are you serious?
Exactly! Exactly! This is going to be a thing every time Kyle wins, isn't it? Or anytime he's in the lead late in the race.
Oh,
you know what's going to happen?
that fucking hooah.
No shit, the fucking hooah.
God damn it. That silicone slut. All right, next award.
All right, it's time for the cigars. And we got a bunch. Maybe not quite as much as Bristol, but we still had some good runs out there. The first one goes to Christopher Bell, who picked up his second career Xfinity win at Richmond. Did a great job all race, and he held off Noah Gragson for a number of laps. Who? Okay, I guess we know who Noah Gragson is. But it was his first ever Xfinity race, and he finished his second. Oh my God! I know it's the Joe Gibbs equipment, but I mean, like, Ryan Preece is doing good in that 18 car. Now Noah Gragson picks it up. I mean, that just shows he's the real deal. Hopefully he gets some more runs, but I mean, it was great for his debut. I mean, much better than the Hemricks and Cup, so he's got that going for him. Austin Cindric didn't crash. He finished 5th. That was his first Xfinity top 5, so he's going to get a cigar. Jeremy Clements finished 8th. That might be his best run since he won at Road America last year. That was his first top 10 of 2018. Man, that small team with a small budget, and he gets it done. Like, he said he had a good car, but he backed it up and actually got a top 10 out of it. Tyler, finish off the cigars, please.
I will do that. And now the rest of these cigars are going to be from the Cup race specifically. First one goes to Chase Elliott. He finished 2nd, and he really benefited from those last couple of restarts and just did what he needed to do. You know, he took basically a 7th to 10th place car and made something with it. Finished 2nd. It was one of those seconds where it's not like he was going to win or had a chance to win. It just basically ended up finishing there, which, that's great. You know, they needed it. They've had a rough, like, month, or maybe even more. It's not been quite the season that Chase Elliott would hope for, but hopefully they can take this second and make something with it. The next cigar goes to his teammate, Jimmy Johnson, who ran the absolute worst of the Hendrick cars tonight. It really looked like that at times. He was down, like, in the 17th to 23rd range the entire race. And yet, somehow, with those late cautions, benefited from it, got himself on the lead lap, got fresh tires, and just bowled his way. That's right, bowled. Like, he was banging off of people, freaking nearly killed Suarez off a climax corner, and holy shit, somehow managed to finish 6th. So, nice job, Jimmy. And the last cigar for the race, specifically, goes to Kyle Larson, who somehow got 7th. Like, he ran like shit, too. He really didn't do that great of a job. And especially after his little kerfuffle with his teammates, it's a wonder he even got back in the top 10. Still didn't have a very good night, but just salvaged something out of something that was shit. And the final cigar, more of an honorary one, goes to Matt Crafton simply for this tweet, and it goes based off of the Straight Jacket Award for frickin' Fox showing damn Samantha Bush every time. He beautifully and comically captured everyone's thoughts on the situation. And yes, I figuratively threw up as well. I wish I literally would have, both from that and Kyle winning, because that's enough to make your gut churn. Now we have one final award. It's been kind of absent the last few weeks, so it'll be nice to bring it back. Kane, what is it?
Oh my God, it's the crying towel! And this week it goes to Jamie McMurray! Oh my God, what were you thinking, Jamie? Running into your own teammate under caution Larson after you thought he wrecked him, but he actually didn't. I mean, he hit the wall, and Ryan Newman plowed him in the rear, and then what does he go and do? He goes and runs into Kyle Larson. Larson wasn't even anywhere near you, pal. Oh, Jamie, I know you're a McWeapon every week, especially next week in Talladega. Yeah, I'm calling it. You're going to be a McWeapon. But you're already starting a week early with all this crap. Oh, no. Why does Larson deserve any of this? You're his teammate. You're supposed to support him. Oh, no. Damn it, Jamie. Damn it.
Hey, Jamie, you better watch out, because Chip Ganassi might slip up and burn your contract.
I mean, Larson's always an aggressive driver, and he might have roughed you up after the little incident, but there's no reason to put your teammate into the wall. Come on, Jamie.
Oh, you big crybaby! You Big
Oh,
Mac baby!
Jamie, baby!
Big Mac baby! Bitch!
Bitch!
Bitch.
Thank you, Nick. Oh, man. Oh, crying towel never disappoints.
And I thought Chad Johnson was the biggest crybaby at Ganassi.
Oh, Kane went there.
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess if you have a stupid number font, you do stupid things.
You should jab at the paint scheme, too. I love it. I love it! Oh, that was great. And for the second week in a row, we'll have a paint scheme montage, so enjoy it.
Number font.
And as always, of course, we have some shit paint schemes, so it's the worst paint scheme of the week. And first off is another mention of this awful paint scheme from the Xfinity series. We saw it a couple weeks back, but didn't I go over this already? Roush Fenway. I told you specifically, don't use this paint scheme again. Oh my god. Nutra-Chomp's Chase Briscoe. Are you kidding me? That is ugly. Stop it. Do something different. I am so glad your ass got Nutra-Chomped on the Justin Allgaier incident. Yeah, that's right. Enjoy your 20-something place finish, bitches. Sorry, Chase Briscoe. You don't deserve this. That's a shit paint scheme. Ugh.
At least his dash didn't fly up again.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a wonder. Those pieces of shit. Poorly built Roush Fenway Mustangs. Ugh. Next paint scheme.
That would be Austin Dillon's AAA Chevy. Oh my god. I saw this one coming, and I don't like it. It doesn't look any better in real life. Like, it's red, and you got these white arrows straight out of NASCAR the game 2011. It just, like, fine, you incorporated it, but you didn't do anything else. It's so plain and uninspired, and you got this plain white area near the rear quarter panel, and it's stupid. Like, alright, here's a good AAA scheme. Look at that. What happened? Paint schemes are trending downward, and it's not good. We need good graphic design. Like, you know, if you want to give us a call, that'd be okay. Kane,
Yeah.
Kane, what's the next worst paint scheme?
Oh, the next worst paint scheme was one that we literally just discussed last week with Shane Lee in the Xfinity series. Ryan Newman brought that same Childress Vineyards Chevrolet to the Cup Series this week at Richmond. Hey, we already discussed this car, like I said. So, Ryan, I'm so glad you got the radiator knocked out of the car. Why don't you go overheat it at the Vineyard?
Bitch!
That was supposed to be a throw-up sound.
It sounded like you fell off a chair or something.
Yeah.
he whacked his tongue against the fridge and shit himself.
Just like Ryan Newman did when he got into the back of McMurray.
Yeah, you know, neck kidney stone son of a bitch. Oh, thank God. Get rid of these paint schemes. Ew! Okay, now let's recap the fantasy results and picks from Richmond. And Nick comes out swinging, gets himself a win finally after picking Kyle Busch, who won the race. He got him 50 points. Damani comes home second after picking Denny Hamlin, who finished third and got him 34 points. Kane got the same exact amount of points with picking Kevin Harvick, but he finished fifth, so he finishes third. And I round out the rear again for the second week in a row after picking Kyle Larson, who finished seventh, but only got 30 points. Thanks a lot for that, Larson. So that means I go first, picking for Talladega. And I'm going to go Chase Elliott. I picked him in Daytona, didn't work out, but he had a damn fast car. That's the way the Hendrick cars are. I don't know, I felt really good about these last 2 weeks, and like I had good logic behind them, but they just haven't worked out. So I'm going to go with that classic saying of third time's a charm, and also with picking Chase Elliott, you know, it needs to happen. Like, we've said that 100 million times too. Like, he's going to win, it's going to happen. Wouldn't surprise me if it's at Talladega, would be a solid track for him to win. So, yeah, I'm good with it. Kane, who's your pick for Talladega?
My pick for Talladega is Denny Double Dicker Hamlin.
You're dumb as ass!
He is probably the best restrictor plate racer at Joe Gibbs Racing, which is very obvious that they have all the momentum right now from Kyle winning 3 straight. So who's to say they can't win 4 straight? Going with Denny.
Damani's up next. He's not here. Who are you taking, Dick?
Oh, it is a fucking surprise.
Nick, you won. Congrats, by the way. Who are you taking?
Well, this might be kind of a gamble, but it might not be. First of all, the Fords have really been good at Talladega lately. And this driver has won a few plate races somehow. I think Eric Almirola's going to win.
Whoa, just take it easy, man.
He's been doing solid this year. I just think it's time for him to really just have a breakout win at Stewart-Haas. This might be the start of some good things. So, Almirola.
Nice pick, Nick. Let's move on.
So that about wraps things up here tonight here on Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. It's been a great podcast, gentlemen. I had fun tonight. So that being said, for Damani HD, poor son of a bitch couldn't be here tonight. He couldn't even make his pick. Is he dead? Is he ill? We'll never know. For Pro Bowl 43, that lucky son of a bitch is going to Talladega next week. Lucky bastard. So jealous. Yeah. And for Thermite 917, oh man, what can you say? Guy wins at everything. Except for a new season of Perky Jerky Racing Series. He had a surprisingly bad outing this weekend.
You just wait.
Yeah. And for myself, Kane Jr. 88, this has been Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. Get a bag today. And you've been Behind the Wall, and thank you for listening.
So yeah, we had a green-white checkered and Kyle Busch pulled away. Chase Elliott got second. Let me pull up the results real quick.
Redo that.
Chase Elliott got second, his 8th top. God!
Oh my God, you bottled it.
I was doing so good.
It's not a podcast without a Nick bottle.
Yeah. And my voice lesson. Apparently I didn't rehearse good enough. Yeah. Kyle Busch pulled away, and unfortunately, as we know, God! I don't even...
Wow, Nick.
I keep trying to, like, go off the script, and I can't do it.
Oh my God.
All right.
This is great. Kane, this is basically you and at your worst last season. Nick is doing Kane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not sure how to respond to that, but okay.
Thank you very much. Chase Elliott, again, gets second. That was his 8th career win. It was kind of cool because he was really nowhere.
8th career win. You said 8th career win. I had to interrupt you there. I mean, you can't say that. Kane came home in second. Actually, no, he didn't. Damani comes home in second after picking Denny Hamlin, who finished 33rd. Yeah. Damani comes home after picking. Now I'm starting to bottle it. I don't like that.
Yeah, he did pick Denny Hamlin. You got that right.
I got this. Don't you worry. I'm gonna nail it right now.
I'm Kane Jr. 88, and as always, I've been joined by these two idiots over here. They're my names. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. This is an intro, damn it. I want an outro. I told you I was going to fucking bottle it.
Oh my god, dude! It started so well, and like it was just like you were running on a straight road, and then all of a sudden there was just a cliff that came out of nowhere, and you didn't see it coming.
And I just drove right over it.
Great minds think alike. I was gonna say he just like drove his car off a mountain.
Yeah,
exactly. Intercourse.
Hey, that was good.
That works. I mean, it wouldn't have been like Nick. It would have been like, "You've been behind the wall," and catch you later, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it. I hope later, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Oh man.
Nice car. Not so nice number font.
Jesus, where'd you get that number? BK Racing?
Ugh. God, throw that in the trash bin. 3, 2, 1.
Number font.